Tonight.
And the doctor came in and I said, "You're wrong. He's really sick."
Why a former nurse says the infant in her care may still be alive had doctors listened to her concerns. Also tonight, preparing for the worst.
We want to make sure that people feel as comfortable as they can, in a pretty uncomfortable time.
How Winnipeg's Jewish community is beefing up security after a series of shocking attacks in Canada and the United States. Plus,
it doesn't really make sense anymore.
Why the clock may be counting down on Manitoba's twice-yearly time change.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A former nurse says an infant in her care died while being discharged because he was misdiagnosed. Dana Riz says by the time doctors realized something serious was happening, it was too late. She believes the 11-month-old's death was preventable despite his complex medical needs. CTV's Jeff Keel spoke with her today and joins us now live. Jeff, what happened here?
Dana Riz says she begged staff at Children's Hospital to listen to her concerns, not just as a caregiver, but also as a medical professional. Dana Riz holds a picture of 11-month-old Bobby, who she says was misdiagnosed and died while being discharged.
The doctor came in and I said, "You're wrong. He's really sick."
Riz is a former nurse with decades of experience. She takes in kids with complex needs as a medical foster. Bobby Akaluk from Nunavut came into her life last May. Born premature, he had a tracheotomy to help him breathe.
He was fierce and focused and so strong.
The little boy spent the first 8 months of his young life in Winnipeg's Children's Hospital. Eventually, Riz was able to take him home, but after one of his return hospital stays, Riz says she noticed something wasn't right.
He spiked a very high temperature, extremely high temperature, which I was like, whoa.
They went back to the children's emergency room. Based on his symptoms, Riz says she was convinced Bobby had sepsis, an infection of the blood, which can be deadly. She told the doctors and nurses treating Bobby her assessment.
I'm bawling, crying, because I want them to believe me.
After 5.5 hours, Riz says Bobby was diagnosed with a simple skin infection, and she was told he was being discharged with antibiotics. But Riz says at that point his pulse started dropping. She alerted a nurse who called in pediatric intensive care doctors.
And by the time they called the PIC team down, he coded. And they were doing CPR.
Bobby passed away. Riz feels his death was preventable.
I've worked a long time and I had this, I just felt this is what's going on, but nobody listened.
In a statement, Shared Health says the case was not deemed a critical incident, and we can confirm the matter was reviewed by medical experts not directly involved with the case, who determined the patient was treated appropriately. And a statement from the health minister says that review found the care provided to this child was appropriate given the child's complex medical circumstances. Dana Riz disagrees and says she wants accountability.
It's like he didn't exist to them. So I'm speaking to him now because he did.
The health minister also says if the family wants to reach out to their office, they will listen to their concerns and ensure questions are directed to the appropriate people within the healthcare system. Shared Health also says their patients' relations team is working with the family so they can ask questions and get answers. We spoke to Bobby's biological mother, and she supports what Dana is doing.
Jeff, was an autopsy done?
Dana Riz says there was not, and she says she wants to know why. Shared Health says due to privacy reasons, they can't comment or confirm details like a patient's care or medical history.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. A handful of health advocacy groups are calling for an end to paid plasma donations tonight. They also want an independent inquest into the deaths of 2 people who donated here in Manitoba.
I want to say I'm more shocked than I am, but I think that unfortunately this was the kind of set of outcomes that we know comes from bringing profit motive into healthcare.
That's Noah Schultz, provincial director of the Manitoba Health Coalition. He says the donation system should be fully voluntary and without a financial incentive. In general, he says the people most likely to donate for money are from more vulnerable populations and therefore may be more likely to experience adverse reactions. Those sentiments were echoed by both the Canadian Health Coalition and the Ontario Health Coalition, which are both calling on the Manitoba government to order the chief medical examiner to probe the deaths. They also want Health Canada to end its contract with Grifols, the company which runs the centres.
The problem is that the motive for is for money. That there is no incentive for Grifols to deny a donor when they could be making money from selling their plasma.
As we told you previously, Grifols says every donor undergoes an extensive health evaluation and physical examination before they can donate, and that at this time, it has no reason to believe there is a correlation between the donors' deaths and their donations. Health Canada has confirmed the deaths happened in October and in January and is investigating. Health Minister Yusoma Asagara says a ban on for-profit donation is on the table. Winnipeg's Jewish community is rattled tonight following 3 separate acts of anti-Semitic violence. An armed man crashed a vehicle into a Detroit area synagogue yesterday where he was shot and killed. Here in Canada, shots were fired at 2 Toronto area synagogues last Friday night. And with the recent war in Iran, the local community is shoring up security. And as CTV's Harrison Shin shows you, one solution may be to bring back a controversial city bylaw.
Winnipeg's Jewish community is increasing security at synagogues, daycares, and schools again.
We are getting calls asking about everything from safety measures to whether or not it's actually safe to attend synagogue or Jewish institutions in general.
On Thursday, an armed man rammed his vehicle into a synagogue near Detroit. Last Friday, 2 Toronto area synagogues were sprayed with gunfire, according to police. Marissa Granov is the chief operating officer at Congregation Eitz Chaim. She says they are ramping up security to keep everyone safe.
We have a safety committee in place that is doing a lot of work behind the scenes and as well is present whether seen or not.
On Wednesday, Federal Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasangri announced $10 million for the Jewish community to enhance security.
This includes synagogues, community centers, schools, daycares, and overnight camps.
Jewish Federation of Winnipeg CEO Jeff Lieberman says they will apply for the federal grant as well as accessing part of a $1 million fund announced by the province in January. He says a recently defeated city bubble zone bylaw could be tweaked to allow for both safety and the democratic right to protest.
I think they had that you had to stay 100 meters away. That could probably be lessened to 50 or 75. So not as much of the city would be affected by that.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
A 17-year-old boy is in custody tonight facing a combined 68 charges, all related to a rash of vehicle thefts. The teen was arrested Wednesday morning following a police chase in an allegedly stolen vehicle which rammed a pair of police cruisers. Investigators have linked him to at least 16 vehicles reported stolen between early December and the day he was arrested. In some cases, multiple vehicles were stolen on the same day. And in at least one instance, police say the owner of the vehicle was hit by their own vehicle while trying to stop the theft. The charges range from flight from police, dangerous operation, break and enter with intent, and carjacking. The suspect remains in custody. The Premier now says Manitobans will be consulted on whether we should continue changing our clocks twice a year.
Well, I'm sure everyone here has their own story about last weekend, but mine is that we were at the hockey rink for an 8:30 a.m. practice after the time change, and I was looking at the other parents and I was just thinking, why are we doing this? It doesn't really make sense anymore. So I do think we're coming to the end of doing this time change twice a year.
Wab Kinew says he and other politicians have been getting an earful about daylight time, both professionally and personally. And he says the inboxes of legislature members are full of comments from Manitobans about it. He says consultation will likely take the form of a survey. British Columbia recently announced it's moving to year-round daylight time. You know, I shared the Premier's sentiments on that Sunday morning, but on Monday when it was so late outside late in the day, I kind of switched back to liking it.
Well, yeah, I guess there's pros and cons to it, right? Yeah, there may be some pros and cons to the forecast this weekend. Pro, sunshine, con, Some exceptionally cold temperatures for this time of year. Yeah, it's going to be a chilly one. So I'll tell you all about that. I'll show you the forecast numbers coming up. But for now, let's take a look through the CTV Live Eye. It's brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, it is -9 degrees and cloudy. With the wind chill, it feels like -14, courtesy of those south-southwest winds at 10 kilometers an hour. The pressure's falling and the humidity right now, merely, is 72%.
Thanks, Colleen. The Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service is warning the public after a medical bag was stolen from an emergency scene. It looks very similar to this one. The medical response bag was stolen during an emergency call in the 300 block of Stanley Street last night. Officials say it contains medications, none of which are narcotics. However, the service warns taking any amount of medication from the kit can be dangerous or even fatal and should not be taken orally. The medications are used to provide symptomatic relief and during patient resuscitation efforts. Anyone with information on the bag's whereabouts or medications is asked to call police. Concordia Hospital is getting a financial boost for its spinal surgery center with the goal of increasing capacity and reducing recovery times.
We need to prioritize what we can do at what sites in the most effective way.
The province hopes the $2.7 million investment in advanced surgical technology at Concordia will help reduce the burden on Health Sciences Centre, allowing it to concentrate on more complex cases. The first navigated instrumentation spinal surgery was performed at Concordia last June using advanced 3D imaging and precision guidance. It allows most patients to return home the same or following day.
Worldwide, this is the best spine technology. As of now, surgeons across Canada who are already in practice are being flown into Winnipeg to test this technology, observe these surgeries.
Shared Health says 42 of the spine surgeries have already been performed at Concordia, and the hospital is on track to perform around 75 each year. A small group of people gathered outside Canadians HSC this afternoon to protest the treatment of a First Nations family earlier this week.
This is what we want, accountability, not denial.
The grandfather of the 16-year-old boy who was booted from the hotel as he recovered from surgery spoke at the rally. He's happy to hear one employee was fired, but says he hasn't heard anything about how the security guards involved in the incident have been dealt with. He says more needs to be done to change the mentality and hiring policies at the hotel, including sensitivity training.
There needs to be more than just the firing. Firing somebody doesn't take the problem away. It doesn't make it go away.
The grandfather says his grandson's leg is still swollen, and he was assessed again at Seven Oaks Hospital yesterday. You're invited to a public open house next week to share your thoughts and learn more about what's in store for a green space in St. Norbert. The province is hosting the event Thursday to help guide plans for the provincial park plan for LeMay Forest. The province expropriated the land in April following enormous controversy surrounding a developer who intended to cut down trees and build an assisted living facility. Manitoba Park staff will be at Thursday's event to answer questions and hear feedback. It runs between 3 and 5 p.m. and then again from 6 to 8 at St. Norbert Community Centre. A worrying sign in the labor market. How many people lost their jobs here in Manitoba last month, and where the overall unemployment rate is at. The economy faced sharp job losses last month. A report by Stats Canada suggests the labor market is struggling after nearly a year of U.S. tariff pressure. The agency says employers collectively shed 84,000 positions in February, driving the unemployment rate up 0.2 of a point to 6.7%. Manitoba saw a net loss of 4,000 jobs. Full-time employment actually fell by more than 7,000 jobs, but that was offset by an increase in part-time employment. Our province's unemployment rate is now sitting at 5.7%. Turning to the markets now, crude oil added nearly $3. The Canadian dollar lost half a cent, dropping below 73 cents U.S. Gold lost $64. The TSX fell 298 points. The Dow Jones closed 119 points lower, while the Nasdaq dropped 206 points. If you're driving a commercial truck near Headingley, be prepared to make a stop. The Manitoba government has officially opened a new highway traffic inspection station and weigh scale. The province says the $13 million facility will provide commercial vehicle officers with more modern inspection equipment and technology to make sure trucks meet safety and weight standards. And it says identifying vehicles that don't meet those standards will help reduce damage to transportation infrastructure. There will also be self-check systems on site to streamline the process. The facility is open year-round and can inspect up to 250 trucks a day. The U.S. Pentagon is reporting its joint operation in Iran has hit more than 15,000 targets. The U.S. Secretary of War is also suggesting Iran's new supreme leader was wounded much more seriously in those initial strikes against the regime and is likely disfigured. CTV's Joy Melvin has more from Washington.
With casualties mounting, recognizing the cost of this war, a somber moment for the 6 U.S. service members killed in that refueling crash in western Iraq.
Please keep these brave airmen, their families, friends, and units in your thoughts.
From the U.S. Secretary of War, more bravado, suggesting Iran's new supreme leader, who's not been seen since the first airstrikes, is desperate and in hiding.
They've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured.
And with oil tankers on fire, Pete Hegseth dismissed fears about oil disruptions through the Strait of Hormuz, effectively blocked by Iran.
As the world is seeing, they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with. We have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it.
Americans are worried about it, feeling the impact of soaring gas and now food prices. It's short-term pain, says the U.S. president, in exchange for a nuclear-free Iran, telling Fox News Radio.
We are decimating them. We've knocked out most of their missiles. We've knocked out many of their drones. We're hitting them harder than anybody's been hit since World War II.
And with shifting timelines and declarations of victory already, the president gave another benchmark when he'll know the war is over.
When it's over, this is going to bounce right back so fast.
When are you going to know when it's over?
When I feel it in my bones.
The president insists on unconditional surrender from Iran in a war that has taken thousands of lives already and cost the U.S. more than $11 billion in just the first 6 days. Joy Malvin, CTV News, Washington.
Prime Minister Mark Carney was in northern Norway today for a NATO military exercise. 25,000 troops are taking part. The joint exercises focus on NATO military abilities to defend the Arctic. Carney also took the opportunity to meet with the Prime Minister of Norway and the Chancellor of Germany. He now goes to the UK, where he'll meet with King Charles and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. With March break right around the corner, a new NANO survey says border crossing is no longer on the radar for many Canadians. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
Ottawa's airport is buzzing for March break, with passengers ready for destinations both hot,
go to the beach,
and cold.
Well, we're going to go to Canmore and ski in the mountains.
And with continued trade tensions south of the border, fewer travelers here are heading to the United States.
Trying to avoid it if possible, only for work if I need to.
No, at this point I wouldn't go to the States.
New research from Nanos for CTV News shows 43% of Canadians, or 2 in 5, are less likely to travel to the United States this year compared to last. 38% don't go to the U.S. in general, while only 4% are more likely to in 2026.
It's a combination of, making a statement, and that has to do with kind of supporting Canada, avoiding the United States, looking at a place that's safe, but also keeping something and making decisions that are affordable. And that's probably why destinations in Canada probably have a pretty good level of appeal right now.
With everything that's going on, I just prefer to stay here and explore our amazing Canada that we have. And we have no plans to go down there anytime soon.
I feel like more than 43% should feel that way. I feel like probably 100% because we're one big nation. We need to stick together.
Ben Miller's high school basketball team is heading home to Thunder Bay after competing in provincial championships in Pembroke, but they've stopped playing in the U.S.
I don't want to travel to the U.S. with all that drama going on down there. Makes me feel unsafe.
On another topic, the survey also asked whether talk of separatism in Alberta has any impact on Canadians' plans to travel to that province. The majority of respondents, 61%, said it does not. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Sometimes infrastructure problems can be hard to spot, but not today, when a large pipe came out of the ground in Japan, leaving bystanders unsure of what they were seeing. This was the scene in Osaka after a 4-story tall cylinder emerged from the ground during sewer construction work. A city official says that pipe simply wasn't there the previous day. Crews used water to force the pipe back down, but they may have to cut off the part that's still exposed as an investigation continues into what went wrong.
They were found dead in their hotel room.
A hidden vacation danger. What key piece of technology some experts suggest bringing on your next trip?
Well, here we are, the middle of March. The normal high for this time of year for Winnipeg is around -1. The normal low, -12. Well, feast your eyes on Sunday and Monday. -14 is the high on Sunday. Mix of sun and clouds, sure, but well off the mark. And then we drop the temperature falling off a cliff basically to -26 degrees. Sunshine Monday, still cool, -11, a low of -20. Then we start to get closer to back on track, although it comes with snow on St. Patrick's Day on Tuesday, -8 degrees, -1 on Wednesday, +1 by Thursday.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
If you're planning to get away from March break, or maybe even this summer, there are certain things you always bring with you on a trip. But tonight we're learning about a safety consideration you may not have thought about. As CTV's Pat Foran shows you, it's why more people are packing something else in their suitcase.
Wherever your trip is taking you, you could end up at a resort or vacation property that doesn't have carbon monoxide detectors. Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas that can cause illness or even death within hours of exposure. There was a carbon monoxide leak at a U.S. hotel where Chris Hauschelt's parents were staying.
So my parents were on vacation in a hotel when they were found dead in their hotel room.
A carbon monoxide detector could have warned them of the leak. The tragedy didn't end there. 7 weeks later, an 11-year-old boy lost his life and his mother sustained permanent injuries from the same leak. Not all hotels and vacation rentals are required to install carbon monoxide detectors.
CO detector requirements vary greatly by location, and CO leaks can happen anywhere that there's a fuel burning appliance, and that leaves countless travelers at risk.
There are now portable carbon monoxide detectors you can take with you on a trip. There are some that plug in and some that run on batteries. Consumer Reports tested CO detectors you can take with you. Each device was placed in a closed chamber exposed to carbon monoxide and tested for accuracy. This lunar lights quickly sounds an alarm when exposed to both low and high levels of CO and comes with a built-in rechargeable battery. This kit of plug-in, while bulkier, excels at detecting both low and high levels of CO and accurately displays them. You'll find many CO detectors for sale, and you can also use them at home when you're not traveling. After losing her parents, Hauscheltz believes you shouldn't take a trip without one.
That is life-saving to be able to take that action on behalf of yourself and your family.
An investigation into her parents' deaths found the hotel's pool heater malfunctioned, causing the carbon monoxide leak.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with your Skywatch forecast. And we got, I guess those that have planned a hot getaway for March break are going to be happy once they see your forecast.
Yeah, you've chosen well if you are getting on a plane. Yeah, because it's going to be a little chilly, as I showed you with that long-range forecast, to put it mildly. No temperature, pun intended, kind of, I guess. Anyway, as we head into this Friday night, a little bit of light cloud breaking up across parts of southern Manitoba, a little on the cloudier side here in Winnipeg. We had that clipper that zipped along as clippers do yesterday, and it dropped off a few centimeters of snow in different parts of southern Manitoba. It's well moved off now in behind a trailing disturbance, if you will, just sprinkling a few more flurries here and there, but not much. By late tonight, some of that moves over the border into northwestern Ontario, but it really just breaks right down if you even see any in your area. Meanwhile, clear and cold across much of the north, a few clouds over the northwest, but some pretty cool temperatures there as well, as I will show you. Meanwhile, this new low pressure system is going to form over the weekend in the northern U.S. Now, at this point, it looks like it should bring snow to southern Saskatchewan, closer to the international border, as you can see, and it may just clip southwestern Manitoba at this point, but subject to change as it approaches. So if you are in those areas closer to the international border, be prepared for that. The rest of the region, though, you can see much clearer by comparison, the rest of Manitoba, really, and east into northwestern Ontario, right into Sunday morning. So yeah, the sun will be shining, but the temperatures will be very cool for this time of year. You can see pretty clear as we get in to Sunday evening before those temperatures fall into the mid-20s as far south as Winnipeg. -15 is our low tonight, mostly cloudy, winds out of the southwest at 15 kilometers an hour. -14 Saturday morning, light winds from the northeast, a mix of sun and cloud. May get cloudy at times, but more or less a mix of sun and cloud throughout the way, with a cool high of just -10. In the north tonight, speaking of cool, look at this, -32 and -34 respectively for Gillam and Churchill tonight, with just a few clouds. Not a sure shot, but a good chance rather of some snow for Island Lake, -26 there. Thompson all the way down to -28, -16 there tomorrow under a mix of sun and cloud. Churchill sunshine for Saturday with a high of just -24. Norway House and Norway House Cree Nation, the light snow falling over your communities right now, that will end this evening. Partly cloudy after that, down to -26. The rest of the region, partly cloudy too. Flin Flon, the Paw, also -26 degrees, but Lynn Lake all the way to -32 tonight. Mix of sun and cloud for most areas tomorrow in the northwest, with the outside chance of snow. Highs -15, -16 degrees for most areas. Lynn Lake a touch colder, -18. In the southwest tonight, Brandon and Neepawa down to -16 degrees, partly cloudy there. Colder and cloudier for Dauphin, down to -19, but Swan River -24 degrees overnight. Mix of sun and cloud there tomorrow, -11, -12 for Dauphin. Cloudier, a little milder for Brandon and Neepawa, up to -10, well below normal for Brandon for this time of year. Winnipeg in the southeast, varying amounts of cloud tonight. Overnight lows a bit more consistent in the mid-teens, -15 for Winnipeg, -17 down into Sprague, but a nice day there tomorrow, -5 under a mix of sun and cloud. Now, Morden and Winkler, you may catch some sunshine tomorrow morning before clouds over, on the way to a high of -9. And in northwestern Ontario, varying amounts of cloud, temperatures around -15, -16 overnight. Kenora and Dryden up to -4 for Saturday, sunnier and milder for Fort Frances, up to -1 degree. Our first weather photo is interesting. These are light pillars over the Steinbach area. Tilly spotted those. Great photo there. And this next fella, well, this is Bodie just chilling in the backyard in Charleswood here in Winnipeg. That photo is from Daniel. Send us yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. It's being described as a miracle. A dog shot multiple times earlier this month and left for dead is now on a long road to recovery.
So Bailey came to us from Nunavut. He had been shot multiple times and left in a garbage dump to die. He was frozen to the ground, and our rescuer up there found him, and she was able to kind of dig him out of the snow, and they put him on the next plane that they could to us.
Canine Advocacy Manitoba says when Bailey initially arrived at the vet in Manitoba, he could barely move and was in need of an IV and a fentanyl patch for pain relief. Examinations determined he had 32 holes in him from gunshot pellets. Now, after extensive treatment, Bailey is showing significant signs of improvement.
When I picked him up last night, it was like a different dog. It was amazing. He can hobble on 3 legs now, and he has a great appetite. He goes outside to do his business, and yeah, he's a miracle.
So far, Bailey has had 8 shotgun pellets removed. About 14 more still require extraction. For now, though, he's been given time to let his skin heal and allow for the swelling to come down. A new look at the keto diet, what other health issues it may help you with in addition to weight loss. The war in Iran has global oil prices surging. If you've had to fill up your vehicle lately, you were likely met with some sticker shock. I know I was. And according to economists, those high gas prices may soon spill over to other sectors. Joining me now to discuss is economist Moshe Lander. Moshe, great to speak with you.
Hello.
Oil prices are rising, fluctuating widely. What impact do you see this having on not only inflation, but the cost of living here in Canada?
So cost of living affordability continues to be top of everybody's concern list. Even in the absence of war in Iran, we would be struggling to make ends meet. When the price of oil goes up, it's stunning just how widespread that oil price affects the broad sectors of the economy. So you already mentioned seeing it at the pump. That for sure is the first and foremost place that we're going to see it. But it's also going to affect heating and cooling your home. Unless you're reliant on hydropower, there's a good chance then that heating and cooling is now going to become more expensive. We're kind of in that middle area where we're maybe thinking about turning off the heater, but haven't yet reached for the AC yet. But I don't have to tell you, in Winnipeg, it can get pretty stinking hot there in July and August. So, you know, it could cost more to cool your home in the summer. You could find it even into derivative products like plastics. Plastics are derived as a byproduct from petrochemicals. And so if petrochemical prices rise, then plastics and packaging are going to become more expensive. Canada is a huge country, 7,000 kilometers from east to west, let alone from south to north. So the trucking industry is going to find that its costs go up, which means that trucking food is going to become more expensive, which means you could start to see it at the grocery store. If you're planning a summer vacation, jet fuel is going to be more expensive. So we've already seen WestJet say they plan on passing on some of that cost increase. Porter and Air Canada are saying, hold on just for a minute before we pass it on. But it's very likely they're going to pass it on too. So all of this could conspire to start creating inflationary pressure and make the Bank of Canada think about, do we now want to start increasing interest rates, let alone holding them steady or even decreasing them?
Yikes, you're making my heart race here, Moshe. This is a lot of doom and gloom. If this war continues for a prolonged period, could it trigger a global recession?
Yeah, it's entirely possible, but you hit on the key part of the story there. If this continues, right? So if this is something that is wrapped up, I hate to be so crass about it, but if it's wrapped up soon, then hey, this might just be a temporary blip that's not going to require any sort of major rethink. But yeah, the longer that you see oil prices hovering around $100 a barrel, up or down a few bucks here or there, or trending up, then yeah, this is the type of thing that's going to affect almost every single economy in the world, because every single economy, even though they've become more energy efficient over the last 50 years since the last OPEC crisis, they're still not energy free. And it is the type of thing then that where countries are struggling to find whatever growth they can, the difference between 1% growth and 0.5% shrinkage really is in a barrel of oil.
How much or how long can our economy sustain this before we are looking at a recession? I know we don't have a crystal ball. We've heard maybe 5 weeks from the U.S. president at one point. We're in week 2 now. You know, when does it really get concerning?
Yeah, it really depends on what was the starting point, right? So Canada was not growing particularly fast to begin with, so it's not going to take much to knock us into recession territory. But remember too, Marilee, that recession is merely a technical definition, right? 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP. Now, we've already delivered 2 months of declining GDP from the most recent data. So are we going to see that carry forward into the next quarter? Then technically we could be in a recession. But I think much more important than talking about whether the economy is in a recession or the globe is in a recession is looking at much more a micro level. Do you have a job right now? Are you at least able to keep the lights on, keep food on the table? Not can you afford fancy European getaways, but are at least you surviving? Then I don't think it really matters whether Canada's in a recession or not. At least you are whole. If you don't have a job, if you're struggling to find work, if AI has come to take you down, I could tell you, hey, the Canadian economy is growing at 3% a year. You're going to say, look, that really doesn't matter to me because I'm struggling. And so I hate the word that the kids have used, but the idea of the me-cession, I think, is much more important than whether we actually have a recession as a macro economy.
Oh, good perspective, Moshe. Let's look maybe on a positive note before I let you go. How do you see this impacting Canada's role as a major oil producer? Could we make some big gains here?
It's possible. Canada, don't forget, is primarily operating from oil and gas that's extracted from Alberta, which is where I live. The oil that comes out of there is like the consistency of like a McFlurry at McDonald's. The stuff that comes out of the ground in Iran and Saudi Arabia and in that part of the world is more like syrup you would put on your pancakes at McDonald's. The infrastructure that we've built in Canada is more equipped for Alberta McFlurry than Iranian syrup. And so the same thing goes for the U.S. economy. A lot of their infrastructure was built for Venezuelan oil before Chavez became president at the turn of the century. And that's why Alberta's been so well placed to jump into the American economy and say, hey, we can help you. You built up an infrastructure that kind of works similarly to Venezuelan oil, which is also similar to McFlurry. I think if we're looking to try and take advantage of this opportunity and say to countries in South Asia and East Asia that are reliant on Iranian oil, hey, we can fill the gap. Their infrastructure is not necessarily built for what we have to offer. And even if we can offer it, remember, we still need to get pipelines out to the West Coast that are capable of delivering it to them. That's something that's going to take years. And so I'm not sure that we're well positioned right now to capitalize on it. But where we can capitalize is that the higher price does mean that it's going to boost the local economy that's reliant on oil and gas, more tax revenues, and at least a little bit more money to help people that are struggling right now.
Well, Moshe, I want to thank you for your take tonight. Always great hearing from you.
Anytime.
Researchers in the U.S. and Australia may have identified a promising new way to diagnose and treat depression at its earliest stages. A team at the University of Minnesota gathered brain scans and blood samples from patients ages 18 to 25 who were diagnosed with major depressive disorder. Scientists at the Queensland Brain Institute then analyzed the data and say they spotted an unexpected pattern. Brain and blood cells in those young adults produce more energy when at rest, but then had trouble stepping up that production when under stress. The researchers say the findings suggest it's the struggle to cope with increased energy demand that could be leading to low mood, reduced motivation, and slower cognitive function. A high-fat, low-carb eating plan known as the Keto diet has shown some success in helping people lose weight and control blood sugar. Now, new research from the University of Toronto suggests it might also help treat depression. When people who monitor their ketones, the substances the body makes when it burns fat for fuel, they reported a greater mood boost compared to those who don't. This means foods featured in the diet like full-fat cheese, olives, avocados, and seafood may do double duty by feeding your body while supporting emotional well-being. When it came to anxiety, the diet didn't seem to make a major difference.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuka and Koster Denture Clinic.
You know what freedom is? What? No fear.
Handicapping the Oscar race. Which film is the favorite to take home Best Picture?
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting High Valley.
Hollywood Awards season's grand finale is the 98th Annual Academy Awards on Sunday on CTV. So it's time to get out your Oscars score sheet and make your predictions. To talk more about his predictions for Hollywood's biggest night is film critic Richard Krause. Richard joins us now. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, listen, always a lot to chat about. Let's start with a Best Actor in a Supporting Role. Now, Sean Penn has won a lot of big awards for this over the course of the award season for one battle after another. Is the Oscar the next award he gets?
I think it is. This is going to be an Oscar ceremony that I think will be probably the most unpredictable that we've seen in quite a while, because all the indicators have been sort of switching it up from award show to award show. So normally, at this point, I sit here very confidently. I think Sean Penn will probably take this. I have a feeling, though, that if there's a second place, or if there's one that could be, coming out of left field, it might be Stellan Skarsgård for sentimental value. Right. Sean Penn is a favorite, but don't count Stellan out.
No. All right. Now, Best Actress in a Supporting Role. There's been a lot of buzz this year around Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another, but she has some stiff competition in this category, doesn't she?
He does. And, this is another one of those categories that is sort of up in the air. I think Tiana Taylor has a very good shot of taking this. But the interesting thing here is that Amy Madigan came out of nowhere late in award season and won for Weapons. What made it unusual for her to win for that, she's terrific in the film, is that it's a horror film, and the Academy doesn't normally, give awards to horror films. But she is, I think, the biggest threat. But my money right now, if I was a betting man, would be on Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another.
Okay, moving on to Best Actor in a Leading Role. Does Michael B. Jordan have a lock on this for Sinners?
I think so. As much of a lock as we're going to see, in these categories. He won the Actor Award, which is the Screen Actors Guild Award. And the way the Academy works is actors vote for actors, directors vote for directors, and then everybody votes for Best Picture. And so winning the Screen Actors Guild Award is a pretty good indicator. It is not 100% a guarantee, but it's a pretty good indicator. So I think, you've got Michael B. Jordan, possibly Leonardo DiCaprio. If I was choosing, it would be Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme, but I don't think he's really in this race anymore.
Okay. Best Actress in a Leading Role. Does Jessie Buckley have the edge here for Hamnet?
Yeah, absolutely. This, if you are going to make one bet, this is the one to take. There is no possible way she can lose for Hamnet. All the other nominees may as well just stay home. They all handed in really great performances, but Jessie Buckley has won everything all across the board. It would be, it would take a seismic event for her not to win Best Actress here.
Great. All right. Now, finally, the big prize of the night, Richard, Best Picture. There's maybe 2-3 frontrunners here, I think.
Well, I think there's two. I think there's Sinners and there's One Battle After Another. One has 16 nominations, that's Sinners. The other has 13. And I think what's going to happen is they're just going to sit side by side in the theater watching one another walk up and back and forth to collect awards. But I think at the end of the night, it's going to go to One Battle After Another. This is a film that has performed very, very strongly all through award season. It's favored to win in Las Vegas. And, as much as I'd love to see Sinners win, because I like a genre movie, a horror movie that would win, I do think it's going to be One Battle After Another.
All right. Well, I guess we will all know these answers very soon. Richard, always great to get your take. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
The Academy Awards with returning host Conan O'Brien airs right here on CTV on Sunday, March 15th at 6 p.m. The Oscars Red Carpet Show airs first at 5:30. Your Friday primetime lineup kicks off with Celebrity Jeopardy at 7. Happy's Place and Stumble follow at 8. And Boston Blue winds things up at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Not just dad gets to go play senior on Saturday nights. Mom does too. You can do this too.
A senior women's hockey league is eyeing a Manitoba expansion. We'll have all those details coming up.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
And on this Friday evening, it is cloudy. It's -9 degrees. Light winds coming from the south-southwest at 10 kilometers an hour, giving us a wind chill that makes it feel more like -14. Now, strictly speaking, the highest temperature today was -7. That was at midnight. The record for this day set back in 1902, 12.2 degrees. Same as yesterday, just a different year. -15 overnight, partly cloudy, -10 on Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud, -14 Sunday, so cool, down to -26 Sunday night, -11 on Monday in the sunshine. St. Patty's Day, snowy, -8 degrees, and then temperatures get back to normal by the midweek.
Thanks, Colleen. Women in Manitoba might soon have a league of their own to play senior hockey. The Canadian Senior Women's Hockey League started in Saskatchewan last year as a way for women 18 and older to continue playing hockey at a competitive level. After a successful debut, which featured 11 teams, the league is looking to expand. Manitoba and Alberta are at the top of the expansion list, with hundreds of women showing interest in joining. Jenna Merck, the co-president and co-founder of the league, says, well, the goal is to provide competitive hockey. It's also about growing the game for younger generations to enjoy.
Something that always kind of gives me butterflies is when you see girls or women posting in our league and it's them and their daughters. And their captions are, daughter got to see their mom be a strong role model. They can still play their sport. Girls play hockey, and just kind of seeing that and that ability that, not just dad gets to go play senior on Saturday nights. Mom does too. You can do this too. I think it's a really inspiring thing.
The league is hoping to have all expansion details ironed out over the next few months, allowing teams in Manitoba and Alberta to start up for the 2026-27 season. You can read more about the Canadian Senior Women's Hockey League on our website. Just go to ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. There you go. Get your teams together.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest here.
For sure.
Manitoba.
For sure. Yeah. All right. That does it for us. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend.
We'll see you back here Monday.